We'll gather round, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I received some happy mail from Cindy. She got me the doorknob molds from my Amazon wish list. Thank you so much, Cindy. Like, these things are really cool. You get 4 different ones. You get the hardware to go along with it, the screws, and then these little uh do jobby things that I guess you glue onto the back of your piece that the screw goes into. I am super excited to make some doorknobs. Like, I never thought those words would come out of my mouth. Anyway, thank you so much, Cindy. You're so very kind, and I greatly appreciate it. You guys really are the best. Okay, on to today's video. Let's Resin sent me their new angel mold to try out. So that is what we're going to do today. However, I want to change it up. So we're gonna do some things. I want to see. I've got this. It's like a window film that has these really beautiful flowers on it, and I have it on the windows. I have windows like on the side of my front door, and one kind of octagon shaped one at the bottom of my stairs that I didn't want to put curtains on. And so I got this stuff, and it casts rainbows when the sunlight hits it from different angles. So I want to see if we can use that in resin-ish to get this angel to cast rainbows if I put a light inside of her. Now, the first thing I need to do is I need to use my Let's Resin silicone rubber. Now, this is the 15A. I absolutely love their silicone. This one is my favorite one that I have used for mold making. Well, I've only used one other one, and I didn't like it at all. This one is great. It's 1-to-1 ratio by weight, not by volume. So you do need digital scales for this so that you can get it precisely. You mix it for like 5 minutes, and you can color it if you want, which I've never done before, but we're going to do it in this video because why not? And it self-degasses super well, self-leveling, like it's awesome. But what I want to do is I want to create kind of like a silicone plug to put into the bottom of this angel that's going to leave me a void, almost kind of like the size of something like a tea light candle type, right? It's going to leave me a void so I can shove a light up underneath of her. And that's actually where I want to put this window film when I'm done. Now, the reason that I'm not actually putting it into my piece is because it is, I forget what it's called. I want to say it starts with a D, but it's actually, it's not like holographic paper to where you can just like put it on resin, whatever. It actually, it's cut, right? So it's texturized. So if I put resin on top of it, the resin's going to fill in all of those kind of areas where the plastic or whatever it is cut out, that's creating these effects, and it's just going to become one thing. Kind of like when you cast rhinestones in resin and then you lose all of the glittery, like, sparkliness that you get from them, similar to that. So I need to put it on after it's already cured. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. I've never tried it before, but why not? Okay, so for my plug, what I'm doing is I'm just using a cup. I looked all around my house and I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for. So the cup it is, that's what we're going to do. And I poured it into a new one simply because I didn't want to take the chance of any possibility of unmixed silicone. I was scraping the sides and the bottom of my cup, well, but I just didn't want to take that chance. So I did pour it into a new cup and did not think at the time how I was going to get it out once it cured. So after thinking about it and trying to get it out, I did try to use one of my little glitter spoons, and I don't want to damage it, because I need it to stay completely smooth and shiny and beautiful. Otherwise, it's gonna become part of my resin, and that's not what I want either. So the cup had to sacrifice itself, and it's sad because I really like these cups a lot. Now, I do have the bottom part of this cup on here. I'm just going to cut that off with a box cutter simply because it, I don't want that like step up, that indention in my mold. Now, is my cut job good? Not at all. But it'll be okay because we're just gonna make this the top part of the little plug. So I will put the other part of the part that I'm not cutting will go down into the actual resin itself. That'll be smooth and shiny. Now, hindsight, I wasn't necessarily thinking about these cups, how they kind of start narrow and then widen out. So that's kind of what my plug is doing. So would I use something else next time? I mean, it worked, don't get me wrong, but I probably would use something else, I think, just because of the fact that it did that, and it, it's gonna alter the way that my window clean fits later on. Okay, so for this first part of this angel, what I did is I just mixed up some regular Let's Resin epoxy resin, and I added a little bit of the Into Resin Aurora powders in purple in there, just a little bit, because we're gonna go purple clear. I didn't want to do completely clear, like not for the top. There's so much detail in this mold, like it's insanely detailed. Like that top part of her, the wings and the ribbon and her hands and face and hair, all of this is so detailed, and I wanted to kind of accentuate on it a little bit, but I just didn't want it clear. So I thought, all right, I can just add just a little bit of the Aurora powder and purple. We'll put that in there. I'm going to fill it up a little bit, give it a good squeeze, make sure that there is no resin that or no bubbles that's stuck in any of those like holes, just anywhere. And then we're going to fill it until it hits the base of where the bottom of her dress starts. So I'm not going to be able to get all of that ribbon in there because of how the mold flows, but I think it'll be fine. I think. My plan is I'm going to go over that with a paint pen anyway. So you're not going to notice a difference in this. We're doing purple and silver because it's just beautiful, so why not? Now, here's the thing that I wasn't necessarily thinking of, and you'll see it later on when I demold, is that is this resin right now, is it clear? Essentially, yes, it is. But because I put the Aurora powder in there, it's kind of like it's got like a milky kind of color to it. So it's clear, but not exactly. And right now I'm using Let's Resin's deep pour resin because I need a deep pour because of how wide this mold holds, like 22, 23 ounces, something like that. So this is a lot of resin, right? Now, granted, because I'm putting that silicone inlay, I'm making up less because I'm not going to need quite so much because that's going to take out a good bit of resin. And I just put in some of my Unicorn crushed crystal in there just for the glitter, like the sparkle effect in it. I ran it through my bubble machine just because I have it, so why not? So it's perfectly 100% crystal clear, no bubbles whatsoever. We just got this gorgeous shine, and I'm slowly filling it up using my mixing tool kind of to let it run off of so that it doesn't have so high to fall, if that makes sense, and cause more bubbles or cause bubbles to come into the resin as I'm pouring it into my mold. And then I'm going around, and where that ribbon kind of is, I'm just messing with my dotting tool. I'm just going up in there just to get any bubbles, checking it to make sure that they're not cut up in that like kind of overlay, whatever, where the ribbon kind of the mold does things. It's fine. Just ignore me. Words are not my friend right now. I know what I'm talking about. You guys may not, and I apologize. Hit it with my heat gun real quick, and now we're going to put this in here. Now, I was semi-smart. I am running some tape over it because everything sticks to silicone, especially fresh silicone. I found a little hook, and I have these hooks for something. I don't remember why it was that I purchased them, but I have them. So I shoved the hook in here just so that hopefully maybe it'll be easier when I go to get it out, and it'll kind of make my life a little bit easier putting it in because now I have something that's sticking out from the top of it and I can handle it easier, and then later on after I get all this set and get all my resin poured in, I can kind of use it to keep it from moving as the resin cures. Now, I didn't do this initially, and as it was fine. It was all like nice and beautiful and in the center and all of the things. And then later on that night, several hours later, I went and looked and it had moved all the way to the side. So I got like 4 craft sticks, put them in there to make it hold so it wouldn't go that way. And then the next day I looked and it was in the opposite direction. I was like, oh shit. Um, so I had to heat up my resin and make it soft so that I can move it again. Now it is still kind of crooked, but it was the best I could do since it moved in the wrong direction. Okay, so demolding it, it did demold really easily. Now, where I did struggle was getting this plug, the silicone plug that I made out, and it's just because I didn't have anywhere to grip it. But if you kind of wiggle it and just coax it out, it did come out. It just took a little bit of time. Okay, now it's time to figure out how to make this work. Now, again, hindsight, if I would have thought about it, I should have made it to where the plug that I used, I should have made it deeper. Maybe not necessarily the cup that I used, found something a little bit skinnier, maybe, and deeper to go the entirety of her dress so that I could put this window cling up in there and it's not just a small little area. Does that make sense? So it kind of covers more so that when you look at it, it looks like the entire dress kind of is a mirrored effect of that window cling inside. Now, I do want to point out a couple things. A, you can clearly see the difference in the line between where I use the Into Resin Aurora powders and just the clear resin, which I was not super thrilled about. Again, I didn't necessarily think about the fact that it was actually coloring all the resin, even though it's clear. I kind of wish I would have just put it in that second pour as well, or just done the whole thing clear because it is kind of a little strange looking. But I do want to kind of highlight the wings a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I took some of my, it's folk art. It's like a color changing blue, purple shift kind of paint. And it's more like a gloss. And it's just going to kind of highlight that purple in there a little bit more. So I went over very, very lightly just the wings with that, just to kind of make them stand out a little bit more. And now it's time to kind of figure out how to cut this window film stuff down into size and see if we can get that rainbow effect, if we can get anything in there. Found some fairy lights. This is the cool white, so it's more of a white bluish looking light. And I'm just cutting a circle because I have the flat piece on the like the top of where that silicone plug was, and I want to get it in there as well. So I just traced around my plug, cut it down to size just a little bit smaller, and this stuff has a film on it. So I took the film off, and honestly, it just clings to the resin. So I don't necessarily have to glue it into place or anything like that. And this way it allows me that if I decide that I want to change it out and put something else in there, like maybe some diachromatic films, which I think could look really, really cool in it, instead of this window cling, I can. So I'm just going to cut this down to size, peel the backing off of it, and I'm just going to kind of push it around the inside of it. Now, this is where I can't in the back of her dress, it's going to have a small section where this stuff is not it's not overlapping. It's because of the way that the cup kind of went out and fluted out and got wider at the top, and that's what this silicone piece did. So it's not like I can't cut it one size. I have to cut it on an angle, and we all know me, straight lines and all that those things and rulers, so I'm just not gonna worry with it too much. The back, it's the back. It's fine. It'll be fine. Honestly, if I'm being real right now, I'm not getting the effect that I thought I would get from it exactly. So it's not going to make a difference. And I'm probably going to end up changing it to, like I said, maybe some of that diacrylic film or something later on anyway. But let's move back on to the angel. Now I am going to do the ribbons on the side, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and do the entirety of the kind of top part of her dress. So the bottom where it's clear, we're keeping that clear. But the top part, I figured I'll just do in silver. So I'm just taking my silver paint pen. The areas that are kind of big that I don't have to worry about getting the silver where I don't want it, I'm going to use with a marker. Other than that, I'm going to just kind of puddle out some of that paint onto a craft stick, and I'm going to use one of my eyeliner brushes. And this is just, it's a super small brush, so it's going to allow me to get smaller lines to where I don't have to necessarily worry too much about it going where it shouldn't go because it's such a thin paintbrush. And I don't want to use my good paintbrushes for my paints with this because I just don't want to take the chance of this type of paint messing up my brushes. Now, I do clean off these with alcohol, which seems to do the trick, but these are a lot cheaper than going out and buying a new paintbrush. Like, I can get 20 some of these for like $2. I can't even touch one of my good paintbrushes for that much. So I can stand to lose one or two of these if it doesn't come out the whole way. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, back onto the video. So I'm just going to go all over the ribbons, the top part of her dress, front and back. Don't forget, she does have some clothes on in the back. And then we're going to, after we're done doing this, we're going to snazz her up a little bit more and see how she looks. Now, I'm just going to bounce off and put some music on while I finish this up, and then I'll be back when we're ready for the next steps.
Blue elephant is strong. Together we belong. In every comment right, you lift me to new heights. Your support, it's clear, gives me reason to cheer. Blue elephant crew, this one's all for you. You make dreams come true. Heart
okay, that part's done. So my whole thought process, even before I ever poured that first pour of resin, was I wanted her wings to be purple. And I had thought glitter purple. That's really what I wanted. Aside from using UV resin, which I didn't really necessarily want to do like before I poured resin, I had thought about how could I do this? And I really couldn't come up with a way that wouldn't make her look ridiculous because I didn't want her face purple glittered. I just really wanted the wings. So I got some of my Recollections Muse glitter and some gloss varnish, and I thought, okay, we'll do it this way. Well, I wasn't liking how it was coming on, so I wiped it off, scrapped that idea, and was at a loss. Like, I couldn't figure out how exactly I wanted it. Like, I have an image in my head, and I just couldn't get it to translate for me. Like, I just could not get it to come out. So then I thought, okay, well, maybe we'll try it this way. And then I didn't like that either. So I wiped that off real quick before it started to dry and get stuck on there because I just wasn't liking how it was. The glitter was just not working for me. So I decided, all right, let's try some UV resin, mix it up with some of this purple glitter and see how that goes. Well, I ended up doing, she has like a flower on the front part of her dress. So I did the flower on there, and then that was pretty much all I did with that. I had thought about going and maybe highlighting some areas on her wings, but I still haven't sorted out my window issue yet, which I think I may put some of this film on there because I reread the Amazon listing for it and it says it blocks UV light. The only thing that I don't like about it is that you can't see through the window. So I have like a really beautiful view out my back window where my craft room is, and I won't be able to see if I put it on there. So I guess you can't have everything. I'm gonna have to decide what to do. Anyway, put a little bit on the front flower and then decided that I'm just done with it. So we're gonna finish going kind of around the underside and the over the top part of it where it kind of pops out. Cure that real quick with the Let's Resin UV flashlight, and then we're just going to move on. Now, the one thing that I did decide to do was I did go back to the gloss varnish glitter mixture and just kind of very lightly went over the front and back of her wings with it, and it just put the tiniest bit of glitter on there. It still wasn't what I had in my head, and I don't know. I wish what I really really want is I want some good metallic colored markers. Like, I want paint pens, not markers. I want some that are just really nice metallic, but I can't find the ones that I want. Like, I want oil-based ones because I think they'll work better and they'll stay on longer. I just haven't been able to find them. So, eventually, that would have been nice because then I could go in between each one of her wings and kind of like put the shadow in there for that, and then it would stand out more. But I didn't have them. So, I did decide that I wanted to add a few rhinestones here and there. So, I added one to the center of the flower, and then just on certain places on the kind of ribbon that's flowing, I added just a few clear rhinestones just to kind of jazz it up just a little bit more, and that's really it. For the most part, that's all I did. I really do like the look of her. I am disappointed, like I said, in the transition of between the top part and the bottom part of her dress. Do you get an effect from the window clings? If you wait until the last glamour shot where I do it in the dark, you can kind of sort of see a little bit. It may have translated better if I had more in there. Like I said, if I did a deeper silicone plug with it and went and had more in there, it might have worked better. But, you know, you live, you learn, and you make adjustments as you move on. Anyway, that's a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you guys on Saturday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
Elephant is strong. Together we belong. In every comment right, you lift me to new heights. Your support, it's clear, gives me reason to cheer. Blue Elephant Crew, this one's up for you. You make dreams come true with everything you do. Each subscriber's heart playing a vital part. Videos we share, showing how much we care. Likes and shares, they grow. You make the channel